The rain pounded against the floor-to-ceiling windows of the black tower like a relentless accusation, mirroring the storm raging in Emma's chest. She stood in the opulent lobby, her cheap umbrella dripping onto the marble floor, pooling around her scuffed heels. At 24, she should have been out with friends, laughing over cheap wine, not begging for a job that could save her mother's life. But life didn't care about should-haves. Her mother's hospital bills were mounting, the eviction notice taped to her apartment door a ticking bomb. One more rejection, and she'd be on the street. Emma smoothed her damp blouse, the fabric clinging uncomfortably to her skin. She wasn't experienced in the corporate world. Hell, she wasn't experienced in much of anything. Virgin in every sense, untouched by love, by success, by the kind of confidence that came from privilege. But she was desperate, and desperation made her bold. The ad for a personal secretary to Alexander Black, CEO of Black Enterprises, had promised a salary that could cover the treatments. She just had to nail the interview. The elevator doors slid open with a whisper, and she stepped inside, her heart hammering against her ribs like it wanted to escape. Floor 50, the penthouse office. As the car ascended, she practiced her smile in the reflective walls, whispering to herself, "You can do this. Be professional, sophisticated." Lies, all of it. She'd never even been on a real date, let alone navigated the shark-infested waters of a billionaire's world. The doors opened to a sleek, minimalist space, glass walls, chrome accents, and a view of the city that made her feel small. A stern receptionist eyed her. "Name? Emma Hartley. For the secretary position," the woman nodded curtly. "Mr. Black is expecting you." "Through there." Emma's legs felt like jelly as she walked down the hall, past abstract art that probably cost more than her yearly rent. The door to his office loomed like a gateway to judgment. She knocked softly. "Enter." His voice was deep, commanding, sending a shiver down her spine before she even saw him. She pushed the door open and stepped inside. Alexander Black stood by the window, his back to her, broad shoulders straining against a tailored suit that screamed power. At 35, he was a legend in the business world, ruthless in boardrooms, enigmatic in the tabloids. Rumors swirled about his past, a fiancé who'd betrayed him, leaving him with a heart as cold as his steel blue eyes. He turned and Emma's breath caught. Tall, over 6 feet, with dark hair tousled just enough to look effortlessly perfect, a jawline that could cut glass, and those eyes, piercing, assessing her in one sweep. "You're late," he said, not bothering with pleasantries. His tone was clipped, like time was a commodity he owned. "I'm sorry." "Mr. Black, the rain, sit." He gestured to the chair opposite his massive desk, piled with contracts and a laptop humming softly. She obeyed, perching on the edge, her hands clasped in her lap to hide their tremble. He sat, leaning back, steepling his fingers. "Why should I hire you, Miss Hartley? Your resume is adequate. Community college degree, part-time waitress gigs. Nothing screams executive secretary." Heat flushed her cheeks. "I'm reliable, sir, hardworking. I learn fast. And I need this job." Honesty slipped out before she could stop it. Desperation wasn't sophisticated. His eyebrow arched. "Need? Everyone needs something. What makes your need special?" She swallowed, her throat dry. "My mother's sick. Cancer. The treatments are expensive and insurance won't cover everything. I'm about to lose my apartment. I won't let you down. I promise." He studied her, his expression unreadable. Seconds stretched into eternity. Then, unexpectedly, he leaned forward. "Honesty, rare in this building." He paused, his gaze lingering on her face, making her skin tingle. "But I need more than a secretary, Miss Hartley. I need a wife." Emma blinked, sure she'd misheard. What?" "A wife. Temporary. Contractual." He slid a folder across the desk. "My grandfather's will stipulates that to inherit full control of Black Enterprises, I must be married by my 36th birthday. That's in 6 months. I've no interest in romance. Been there. Burned that bridge. But I need someone discreet, presentable, and willing to play the part for a year. In exchange, salary triple what the ad promised, your mother's bills paid in full, and a penthouse suite in my building. No eviction worries," her mind reeled. Marriage? To him? She was a virgin, for God's sake. innocent as a lamb in a den of wolves. But the offer, it was a lifeline. Why me? You could have anyone. Because you're desperate enough not to complicate things with emotions. And you're unassuming. No scandals in your background. His eyes flicked over her again, this time with a hint of something warmer. Interest? No, couldn't be. She opened the folder, scanning the contract. Clauses about public appearances, separate bedrooms, no intimacy required. But the fine print blurred as panic set in. What if he expected more? What if he discovered her secret? This is insane. I can't. You can. And you will, if you want to save your mother. His voice softened, just a fraction. I'm not a monster, Emma. This is business. The use of her first name sent a jolt through her. Up close, he smelled of expensive cologne, sandalwood and spice. Their hands brushed as she closed the folder, and electricity sparked. She jerked back, but not before seeing his eyes darken. Sorry, she murmured, her cheeks burning. He didn't move, his gaze locked on hers. Tension crackled in the air, thick and unspoken. For a moment she saw beyond the cold facade, a flicker of loneliness perhaps. Or was she imagining it? What do you want from this? She asked, her voice steadier than she felt. Stakes. She needed to know his. Control of my company. Freedom from meddling board members who think I'm unstable without a stable home life. He stood, pacing to the window. My ex, she left me for my best friend. Took half my trust in people with her. I don't do vulnerability anymore. Her heart ached at that. Vulnerability was all she had. And if I say yes? You start tomorrow. As my secretary by day, fiancé by night. Wedding in a month, small, efficient, fiancé. The word tasted foreign, but her mother's pale face flashed in her mind. The beeping machines, the mounting debt. She had no choice. Okay, I agree. He turned, surprise flashing across his features before the mask returned. Good. Welcome to my world, Emma. As she left his office, her knees weak, she wondered if she'd just sold her soul. But that accidental touch lingered, a promise of fire she wasn't ready for. The next morning, Emma arrived at Black Tower early, her new keycard buzzing her into the executive floor. Alexander, Mr. Black, she corrected herself, was already there, barking orders into his phone. He hung up when he saw her. You're prompt. Good. He handed her a tablet. Schedule my meetings. Handle correspondence. And this. He placed a velvet box on the desk. She opened it, gasping at the diamond ring inside. Massive, sparkling like captured starlight. For the engagement announcement? Put it on. His voice was gruff, but he watched intently as she slid it onto her finger. It fit perfectly. How had he known her size? Their fingers brushed again, deliberate this time. Heat pooled in her stomach, unfamiliar and terrifying. She met his eyes, and for a split second, the air thickened. His hand lingered, thumb grazing her knuckle. It suits you, he said softly. She pulled away, flustered. Thank you. I think, he cleared his throat. We have a gala tonight. Black tie. Be ready at 7. The day blurred into a whirlwind of emails, coffee runs, and glimpsing his world. He was demanding, but fair, praising a well-organized report, noticing when she skipped lunch and ordering food without a word. Kindness, hidden under layers of ice. By evening, she was exhausted but buzzing. A dress arrived. Emerald silk, hugging her curves in ways her thrift store finds never did. When Alexander knocked on her new penthouse door, he'd had her things moved in already, she opened it, heart racing. He froze, his eyes raking over her. You clean up well, Emma, she blushed. It's the dress. No, it's you. His words hung heavy, charged. The gala was a sea of champagne and schmoozing. Alexander's arm around her waist felt possessive, sending shivers through her. Smile, he murmured, his breath warm on her ear. They're watching. Who? Investors, she supposed. But his touch lingered, fingers splaying on her hip. Accidental? No, deliberate. Tension coiled in her core. During a quiet moment on the balcony, away from the crowd, he turned to her. Why no boyfriend? You're attractive, she laughed nervously. Too busy. And guys like simple. I'm not experienced in fancy things. His gaze intensified. Experienced? She cursed inwardly. You know, galas, luxury, that stuff. He stepped closer, the city lights reflecting in his eyes. What about other things? Her breath hitched. Proximity forced her to tilt her head up, their bodies inches apart. His hand cupped her chin gently, thumb brushing her lip. Emma, a waiter interrupted, calling for a toast. Alexander pulled back, jaw tight. Back inside. But in that moment she saw it. Interest, raw and unexpected. Fear warred with attraction in her chest. He wanted her? But she was a virgin, out of her depth. Still, as they re-entered the glittering room, his hand on her lower back, she felt a spark of strength. She could do this. For her mother. For herself. Little did she know the arrangement was already cracking. Feelings seeping through like rain through a faulty roof. That night, in her lavish new bedroom, separate from his, as promised, she twisted the ring on her finger. Stakes were high. Her mother's life, her home. He wanted control, but she sensed he needed more. Healing, perhaps. And her? She wanted survival, but his touches hinted at desire she'd never known. As sleep claimed her, she dreamed of his eyes, his hands. Tomorrow, the real proximity began, living under his roof, working by his side. God help her. The following weeks flew by in a haze of board meetings and late-night strategy sessions. Alexander's penthouse was a fortress of glass and steel, overlooking the city like a king surveying his kingdom. He gave her a tour on day one, the infinity pool, the home gym, the library stocked with first editions. Intimidating, yes, but also lonely. Echoing halls, no personal photos, just art and artifacts. Rules, he said over dinner that first night. A spread of gourmet food delivered hot. Professional boundaries, no crossing lines. This is temporary. She nodded, but her eyes caught on his forearms, sleeves rolled up, veins prominent. Understood, yet boundaries blurred. He'd notice her nervous habit of twisting her hair, gently untangling it once during a tense call. Relax, he'd say, his voice a low rumble. She saw glimpses of his kindness, tipping staff generously, donating to charities anonymously. One evening, she overheard him on the phone with a children's hospital, funding a wing in memory of his late sister, a trauma he'd mentioned in passing, his voice cracking just once. Her attraction grew, a slow burn. Fear, too, of revealing her innocence, of falling for a man who claimed he didn't do emotions. Then came the inciting push. A business rival threatened a takeover, using Alexander's playboy image against him. We need to accelerate, he said one stormy night, rain lashing the windows. Wedding next week. Public announcement tomorrow. Her stomach dropped. So soon? Yes. He poured whiskey, offering her a glass. Their fingers touched again. This time he didn't pull away. Scared. A little, she admitted. Honest always. He set the glass down, stepping close. The fireplace crackled, casting shadows. You shouldn't be. I'll take care of you. His words wrapped around her like a promise. She looked up, their breaths mingling. Attraction sparked, hot and undeniable. His hand slid to her waist, pulling her flush against him. Heat exploded in her veins. Alexander, she whispered. Alex, he corrected, voice husky. His lips hovered over hers. Thunder boomed, but it was the phone ringing that shattered the moment. He cursed, answering. Business. She retreated to her room, heart pounding. She wanted him, God did she, but the virgin secret loomed. Still she'd agreed. The wedding was set, stakes raised, her heart on the line now too. As she drifted to sleep, his unexpected kindness replayed. The way he'd paid her mother's bill that morning without fanfare. Vulnerability beneath the armor, chemistry that terrified and thrilled. Tomorrow, the world would know she was his. But did he suspect how deeply that terrified her innocent soul? The wedding was a blur of white orchids and flashing cameras, held in a private rooftop garden atop Black Tower. Emma stood before a small gathering of Alexander's business associates. No family on either side. A stark reminder of their fractured pasts. Her gown, chosen by his stylist, was elegant lace that whispered against her skin, but it felt like armor. I do, she said, her voice steady despite the storm inside. Alexander's eyes met hers, intense and unreadable, as he slipped the platinum band onto her finger. His touch lingered, a spark that made her pulse race. The kiss at the altar was chaste, obligatory, a brush of lips that promised nothing. But in that moment, with the city sprawling below, she felt the weight of their deal shift. This wasn't just business anymore. That night they returned to his penthouse, now their penthouse. He'd insisted on carrying her over the threshold, a tradition he dismissed as for appearances. But his arms around her were strong, his scent enveloping her like a drug. "Welcome home, Mrs. Black," he murmured, setting her down in the foyer. The words sent a thrill through her, terrifying and exhilarating. Home. She'd never had one that felt safe. He gave her the full tour then. His voice clipped as he led her through rooms she'd only glimpsed before. The master suite was his domain. King-sized bed with Egyptian cotton sheets, a balcony overlooking the glittering skyline. Her room adjoined it, connected by a shared bathroom that screamed intimacy. "Boundaries," he said firmly, stopping at the door. "We sleep separately. No wandering. Public affection only when necessary. This is a contract, Emma. Nothing more." She nodded, her throat tight. "I understand, but did she?" The way his eyes flicked to her lips said otherwise. The rules were clear, but daily life blurred them. As his secretary, she shadowed him, organizing his calendar, fetching coffee, sitting in on meetings where his commanding presence dominated the room. He was a force, negotiating deals with a steely gaze, his voice a low growl that made board members squirm. Yet he noticed things about her. One morning, after she'd skipped breakfast again, a tray appeared on her desk. Avocado toast with extra lemon, her favorite from the diner days. "Eat," he ordered, not looking up from his screen. "Can't have you fainting in a meeting." "How did you know?" she asked, surprised. "I pay attention." His tone was casual, but his eyes softened. She saw his kindness in flashes. To the staff, he was generous. Bonuses for overtime, remembering birthdays. One afternoon, she caught him in the lobby, crouching to tie a shoelace for the janitor's young son who'd wandered in. The boy beamed, and Alexander ruffled his hair with a rare smile. "Kids deserve better than we got," he said later, when she mentioned it. His voice held a shadow, hinting at the trauma he'd barely shared. Jealousy hit unexpectedly at a corporate dinner. Victoria Lang, his ex-assistant turned rival executive, sauntered over, her red dress clinging like a second skin. "Alex, darling," she purred, laying a hand on his arm. "Congrats on the whirlwind marriage. Though I must say, she's a bit fresh-faced for you." Emma's stomach twisted. Victoria was everything she wasn't. Experienced, sophisticated, with a predatory smile. Alexander's jaw tightened. "Emma's perfect," he said coolly, his hand finding Emma's under the table, squeezing. But the touch lingered, his thumb stroking her palm in slow circles. Accidental? No. Tension built, heat pooling in her core as their thighs brushed in the crowded booth. Physical proximity was unavoidable. Shared spaces, the kitchen at dawn, where he'd brew coffee shirtless, muscles rippling under tanned skin. The home office late at night, papers scattered, their chairs inching closer. One evening, during a thunderstorm, the power flickered. Candles lit the living room, casting golden glows. Rain hammered the windows as they reviewed contracts by the fireplace. "You're twisting your hair again," he noted, reaching out to still her hand. His fingers intertwined with hers briefly, sending jolts up her arm. "Nervous habit," she admitted, her voice breathy. "Why nervous?" He leaned in, the fire reflecting in his eyes. "Because... this." She gestured between them. "It's more than a deal, isn't it?" He paused, vulnerability cracking his mask. "Maybe," then quieter. "My ex-fiancé, betrayed me. With my brother. They ran off with company secrets. I lost more than trust. I lost family." Her heart ached. She scooted closer on the couch, her hand on his knee. "I'm sorry, Alex. That sounds devastating." He looked at her, really looked, as if seeing her for the first time. "You're different, kind, real." His hand cupped her cheek, thumb tracing her jaw. The air thickened, charged. He leaned in, lips hovering over hers. Her breath hitched, anticipation coiling tight. A clap of thunder shook the building, and the power surged back on, lights blinding. He pulled away, cursing under his breath. Interrupted. Story of my life. She touched her lips, aching for what almost was. Confusion swirled. Did he want her? Hurt followed. He retreated to his room without another word. Days blurred into heated glances and accidental touches, a brush of hands over breakfast, his body pressing close in the elevator. Chemistry simmered, undeniable. Then the external threat arrived. Paparazzi. Photos leaked. Emma at the hospital visiting her mother, headlines screaming billionaire's bride hiding secrets. Debt collectors from her past called, emboldened by the publicity. Alex went caveman. No one touches what's mine, he growled, hiring security, paying off the debts without asking. You're safe now. His protectiveness ignited something in her. Watching him pace the penthouse, phone to ear, barking orders, she realized she was falling. Hard. But the internal struggle gnawed. I can't tell him I'm a virgin. He'll think I'm too innocent, too fragile for his world. To ease the tension, he made a gesture. A weekend trip to his private ranch outside the city. Fresh air, he said. No cameras. The ranch was sprawling. Rolling hills, stables, a cozy cabin that felt worlds away from the penthouse. No tour needed. It was intimate, personal. He showed her the horses, his hand on her waist as he helped her mount one. Easy, he murmured, his breath on her neck. Jealousy flared again when a neighbor, a glamorous widow, dropped by with welcome pie, flirting shamelessly. Alex, you devil, married already? She touched his arm, laughing. Emma's chest tightened. Later, by the fire pit under stars, she snapped. Does every woman throw herself at you? He chuckled. Jealous wife? Maybe. Defiance rose. What if I am? His eyes darkened. Good. He pulled her into his lap, the argument heating. I don't do relationships, Emma. This is not just a contract to me anymore. She burst out. I feel things. For you, silence. Then his hands framed her face. Damn it. He kissed her. Finally, fully. It was intense, consuming. His lips claimed hers, firm yet tender, tasting of whiskey and want. She gasped, and he deepened it, tongue tracing her seam until she parted, melting into him. Sensations overwhelmed, his hands sliding down her back, pulling her flush, heat building where their bodies met, her fingers tangling in his hair, pulling him closer. She responded instinctively, arching into him, a moan escaping as his teeth grazed her lip. He groaned, breaking away. This wasn't part of the deal. Conflict etched his face. Desire warring with fear. Hurt stabbed her. Then what was it? A mistake. He stood, retreating. Good night. Confusion and ache followed her to bed, but the kiss lingered. A peak of tension that left her wanting more. Despite fear, she decided she wanted him. All of him. Virgin or not, she'd give herself if he asked. The next day, danger forced them closer. A storm hit the ranch, flooding roads. Trapped, they huddled in the cabin, candlelight flickering. We're stuck, he said, but his eyes said otherwise. She touched his arm. Good. Tension peaked again, shared blanket, bodies close. His hand on her thigh, accidental at first, then deliberate. Emma? A call interrupted. Business rival. The same one threatening takeover. Now leaking more scandals. Alex's face hardened. I'll handle it, but she saw his fear. Let me help. He pulled her close. You already are. Protective, he held her through the night. No more kisses, but promises unspoken. Back in the city, the argument erupted. Media swarmed the penthouse. This is why I don't do feelings, he shouted. It complicates everything. I'm not a complication, she yelled back. I'm your wife. He pinned her against the wall, breath ragged. Damn right you are. Sexual tension exploded, his body hard against hers, her hands clutching his shirt. She whispered, I want you, Alex. All of you. He froze, desire blazing. You don't know what you're asking, but she did. Despite the virgin secret, the fear, she was ready. The peak reached. She'd surrender. As the night deepened, rain pattering, she knocked on his door. Alex? He opened, shirtless, eyes stormy. What? I'm sure. She stepped inside, heart pounding. The decision made, fear be damned. His bedroom door clicked shut behind me, sealing us in a world of shadows and flickering candlelight. The storm outside raged on, rain lashing the windows like it wanted to break through. But inside, the air was thick, electric, charged with everything we'd been denying. Alex stood there, shirtless, his chest rising and falling in ragged breaths, every muscle etched in the golden glow from the bedside lamps. His eyes, those steel-blue storms locked on mine, dark with hunger and something deeper. Fear? No, tenderness. It cracked his guarded facade wide open. "Emma," he rasped, his voice a dangerous whisper that sent heat pooling low in my stomach. "You said you're sure. But are you? You..." I stepped closer, my silk nightgown whispering against my thighs, heart hammering so hard I thought it might shatter my ribs. The virgin secret clawed at my throat, begging to spill out. Tell him now before it's too late. But the word stuck. Instead, I reached for him, my fingers trembling as they traced the hard planes of his chest. His skin burned under my touch, a low groan rumbling from him like thunder. "I'm sure," I whispered, my voice gaining strength, defiant. "I want you, Alex, all of you. No more deals, no more boundaries." His hands found my waist, gripping the silk, pulling me flush against him. The power imbalance hit me then, his towering frame, his billionaire world swallowing my simple one. But it didn't scare me anymore. It thrilled me. He was mine in this moment. "God, Emma," he murmured, his lips brushing my forehead, then my temple. "You're trembling." "I'm not afraid of you," I said, tilting my chin up, honest and bold. Our eyes locked, and the world narrowed to just us. Slowly, so slowly it was torture, he undressed me. His fingers hooked the straps of my nightgown, sliding them down my shoulders with reverent care. The silk pulled at my feet, leaving me bare, vulnerable under his gaze. Cool air kissed my skin, raising goosebumps. But his hands followed, warm and possessive, tracing my collarbone, down to the swell of my breasts. "Beautiful," he breathed, voice husky. "So damn beautiful." Sensations overwhelmed me, his calloused thumbs circling my nipples until they peaked, hard and aching. His mouth following, hot and wet, sucking gently until I gasped, arching into him. Heat coiled tight in my core, unfamiliar and insistent. My hands explored him too, fumbling with his belt, shoving his pants down. He kicked them away, and there we were. Naked, pressed together, his hard length branding my belly. He lifted me effortlessly, laying me on the massive bed, sheets cool against my heated skin. He hovered above, caging me in, his eyes searching. "Tell me if it's too much," I nodded, pulling him down. Our lips met in a kiss that started soft, exploratory, then ignited, tongues dancing, teeth nipping, his hands everywhere. He kissed down my neck, my breasts, my stomach, worshipping every inch. When his mouth found the apex of my thighs, I cried out, fingers tangling in his hair. Oh God. Pleasure built like a wave, his tongue circling, teasing, until I shattered. My first orgasm ripping through me in blinding ecstasy. He rose, positioning himself between my legs, his tip nudging my entrance. "Look at me," he commanded softly. Our eyes met. Then slowly he pushed in, pain flared, sharp, tearing. I gasped, nails digging into his shoulders. He froze, buried just an inch, his face contorting in shock. Warmth trickled between us, and his eyes widened, realization dawning. "Emma, blood, you're a virgin?" Tears pricked my eyes, vulnerability crashing over me. "Yes," I confessed, voice breaking. "I should have told you. I'm sorry. I thought you'd think I was too innocent, too. Not enough for you." He pulled out gently, shock melting into overwhelming tenderness. His hands framed my face, thumbs wiping my tears. "Why didn't you tell me?" His voice cracked, raw emotion spilling out. The guarded CEO gone, replaced by a man laid bare. "God, Emma, you're everything. More than enough. I've waited my whole life for someone like you." Relief flooded me, mixing with the ache. I was scared, never of me. He kissed me deeply, pouring promises into it. I'll be gentle, I promise. We'll go slow. Your pace. He started over, fingers first, sliding in, stretching me with care, his thumb circling my clit until pleasure drowned the pain. Then, inch by inch, he entered again. This time it was different. Pressure built, then blossomed into fullness, pleasure sparking with every careful thrust. Are you sure? He whispered, pausing. Yes, I moaned. I trust you. He moved then, slow and deep, our bodies sinking. Pain faded to pleasure, a sweet building fire. His hands gripped my hips, guiding. Mine clutched his back, urging. Sensations layered. The slide of skin, his grunts mingling with my whimpers. The scent of sweat and sex. You feel incredible, he groaned, eyes locked on mine. Connection deepened, souls intertwining as bodies did. The pace quickened, urgency taking over. I met his thrusts, hips rising, chasing the peak. Alex, please, come for me, love, he commanded, voice breaking. I did, exploding around him, waves crashing, crying his name. He followed, burying deep, spilling inside with a roar, his body shuddering. We collapsed, tangled, his weight a comforting blanket. Aftercare was pure magic. He held me close, kissing my forehead, my tears. You're perfect, he whispered, fetching a warm cloth to clean me gently. My brave girl. I love you, Emma. God, I love you. Tears of joy slipped free. I love you too. He pulled me into his arms, our hearts sinking. You've healed me, in ways I never thought possible. Morning light filtered through the curtains, painting us in gold. I woke to his kisses trailing down my arm, ultimate happiness blooming in my chest. No regrets, just us, naked, sated, real. He made love to me again, slow and sweet, confirming it wasn't a dream. Mine, he murmured between thrusts. Forever, but conflict crashed in like the receding storm. My phone buzzed. Victoria. A leaked audio, Alex's voice from months ago, cold and detached. Marriage is just a contract. No emotions. It was edited, twisted but damning. Headlines screamed, "Billionaire's sham wedding exposed." I overheard him on a call in the kitchen, voice strained. Damage control. Tell the board it's real. But the words twisted in my gut, sham. Misunderstanding hit like a knife. He doesn't love me. It was pity, because of last night. Heartbroken, tears blurring. I grabbed my old suitcase, slipping out while he showered. I can't stay. I'm just the contract wife. I fled to my mom's hospital room, collapsing in sobs. He doesn't want me, Mom. Not really. Hours later, airport bound for a one-way ticket home, back to my tiny town, away from his world, he found me. Dramatic chaos, security shoving paparazzi, him striding through like a god, coat billowing. Emma! I froze at the gate, suitcase dropping. How? I tracked your phone, tracked my heart. He dropped to one knee, uncaring of the crowd, pulling out a velvet box. Not the contract ring, but a new one, emerald-cut diamond flanked by sapphires. I love you. This isn't a deal. It's forever. Tears streamed. The audio? You said a lie. From before you. Victoria's sabotage. He stood, cupping my face. Public declaration, I, Alexander Black, love Emma Hartley Black with everything I am. I don't care who knows. You've healed my scars, given me home, belonging. Class, power, none of it matters. You're my strength, my vulnerability, my everything. Every fear crumbled. Innocence, imbalance, trust. You mean it? With my life. He addressed my insecurities. Your virginity? A gift I treasure. Your past struggles? They made you fierce. I need you, Emma. Marry me, for real. Laughter mixed with sobs. Yes, 1,000 times yes. Our final kiss was fire. Passionate, claiming, cameras flashing around us. The crowd cheered. The world witnessed. 6 months later. The real wedding was magical. A sun-drenched vineyard, white tents fluttering in the breeze. I wore ivory lace, Alex in a tailored tux, eyes only for me. Vows poured from our hearts. You've shown me trust heals, he said. You've given me strength, I replied, as we danced under string lights, full circle hit. His hand on my waist, just like that gala night. But now, no lies. Remember our first touch? he whispered. How could I forget? I smiled, hand on the slight swell of my belly. Our secret, a pregnancy revealed just for us. You're mine, he said, commanding yet vulnerable. And I'm yours. The reception ended with fireworks mirroring the sparks in our eyes. We slipped away to our honeymoon suite, where he'd recreate last night's tenderness. Slow undressing. Sensory bliss, his whispers. I love you, my virgin bride no more. 1 year later, our penthouse nursery glowed with soft light. Our son, little Alex Jr., sleeping peacefully, tiny fist curled. Alex wrapped arms around me from behind, chin on my shoulder. Look what we made. Healing, home, love. I turned, kissing him deeply, all because of one desperate interview. Themes wove through our life. Healing through love's embrace, finding belonging in each other's arms, trust blooming from vulnerability, my inner strength shining brighter beside his power, class differences, mere footnotes in our epic. As the city lights twinkled below, his hand splayed over my heart, I whispered, forever, and in his eyes, I saw eternity. Thank you for listening to this story. If you enjoyed it, please rate it 1 to 10 in the comments below and let us know what kind of romance you'd like to hear next. Don't forget to subscribe for more emotional love stories.